Well, good evening, everybody, and a happy birthday edition here.
Yeah, man, it is. It's the birthday edition. We still got a few hours.
Yeah,
a few hours left.
We're recording on Wednesday, so this is officially your 32nd birthday.
Yep, 32nd.
Yeah, well,
May 10.
Good deal.
It's funny, man. I always used to laugh when I was a kid whenever somebody be like, ask like an older person, like, how old are you? And they have to almost like do the math to remember how old they are. And I find myself like I've had some people like, how old are you? And I'm like, I'll actually have to think.
No, my entire 30s, I had to do that. And I'm still in my 30s. I'm 39 and holding for another about 5 weeks or so.
Yeah.
But now that I am like 40, kind of is a big one. Like I know exactly how to, but all through like my early to mid 30s, like every time I would have to think about it. I'd be like, all right, this is 2023.
Yeah. I've done that several times.
Because it doesn't matter. Like, what's the difference between 32 and 35?
Yeah.
Like,
that's what I was going to say. I feel like it's a relatively meaningless series of birthdays.
Yeah. Pretty much now until, I guess, like
40. Yeah.
And
then you're old.
Well, and I don't want to say I'm dreading 40, but I will tell you, like, I haven't like struggled with it, but I mean, it is kind of like hitting me. It's like, damn, like
40 years old.
I just feel like, damn, like, because, you always think, and everybody's guilty of this, like things you want to accomplish. I'm like, well, shit, if you're 40 and you're not already on it, it's not too late. It's never too late. But,
do you feel like you're kind of where you would want to be approaching 40?
Not entirely. I still feel like a kid in a lot of ways. Like I think of myself like that, and I'm like, no, hell, like if I go back 20 years ago and somebody 40, I was like, hell, that bastard's old. But yeah, it does remind me. A buddy shared a video with me today. It was Dwayne Johnson, The Rock.
Yeah. Watching his dad.
No, it was just a short video, and he said, and pretty much it said, one day or day one.
Yeah.
It's like, if you think you want to accomplish something and you keep saying, I'm going to do it one day, well, you need to flip that around and say, well, today is day one of me accomplishing that goal.
Yeah.
I was like, man, yeah. And it was super simple, one of those
but
like
it is,
60-second sermons. But I was like, dang, man, that is really powerful. Like, like make today day one.
Yeah.
Don't say one day, say day one. But
it is cool watching, because I follow The Rock and, some of them guys like that, because he's done some dumb political stunts here lately, but I've just gotten to the point with him and Arnold and all them. I just have to accept the fact that they're my entertainers. They're not, if I got wrapped up on all of them's political views, I wouldn't listen to any music and I wouldn't be able to watch hardly any movies. It does just make me further appreciate the artists and entertainers that are actually in line with me. It makes me like them more. But
right, and in a lot of ways, which of course, whenever they come out and they have political opinions that are on our side, which one they're at risk of getting blackballed from Hollywood typically, but you're like, oh hell yeah, you want to cheer them on, and so I'm kind of talking about both sides of my mouth, but then I'm like, when they don't have an opinion that I like, I'm like,
just don't even say anything. Yeah.
Just shut up and act, shut up and play ball, or sing or whatever it is you do. Just because you're really good at dribbling a basketball doesn't mean, it actually means you probably don't have, very good opinions on global politics because, you spend all your time focusing on doing one thing better than anybody else. That's kind of why I was late to the Yellowstone party.
Because of Costner?
Costner had done some stupid stuff, politically, nothing radical, but it was kind of like, dang, especially because I was like, the type of roles he plays, like,
it's usually a hard-nosed, kind of concern.
Yeah, open range, Dances with Wolves, like, red-blooded American men, like, are a lot of his fan base. The Bodyguard, a lot of toxic masculinity in his roles. And then... But then, of course, everybody started talking about it, like, oh, man, you just need to watch it. And I was like, I ain't Kevin Costner. And then now apparently he's gone back off the deep end. And
Oh, yeah. Well, see.
What's the latest on that? Is he not coming back?
I've actually, earlier on Google, I saw an article and it said he has some new stipulations about returning to the show. So Lord. I don't even know, but
see, it's almost going to ruin it because now I'm going to watch it and be like that dickhead.
Yeah, yeah.
Which that's kind of his character in the TV show anyway.
I think he's a prima donna. I think he's a bit of a prima donna.
And I mean, he's an A-list Hollywood guy, so I guess
I've always said it's got to be. Look, it has to be somewhat difficult because you think about a guy like Costner. He's been an A-list movie star for 20 years, 30 years.
I was about to say, going on 30, yeah.
That has to be a struggle. In all honesty, like to maintain your humility.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
If, and like, could you imagine for 30 years not being able to like every time you would drive down here to go to the grocery store, you'd have a flock of people like wanting to take pictures with you and stuff.
Oh yeah, well, I doubt he has grocery shopped in a long, long time. Yeah, I was looking back. What do you think was his first big role? Like in your opinion, like put him like made him a household name.
I don't know. When did man? I don't know. I was trying to think of when that movie Waterworld came out, but that was probably in the mid '90s.
Yeah, so this one would be pre that. The one
Robin Hood?
Yeah, Robin Hood was 91.
Okay, is that the one that set him off?
Just in my mind, like that was a blockbuster hit in my opinion.
Yeah. I love that movie.
That's what I was going to look at his filmography. But that one, Waterworld was after that, right?
I think it was. I'm thinking it was mid 90s.
Yeah, which his start goes all the way back to 81, but it was like Bull Durham was 88. That was a pretty big one.
Yeah.
Field of Dreams.
Now that's mid 90s, ain't it?
Field of Dreams was 89.
Really?
Yeah, so that would be, that was even pre Robin Hood.
Yeah. Now when was Dances with Wolves? Was that mid 90s?
So Dances with Wolves.
Or was that surely that wasn't 80s?
No, it was 90. It was the year before Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. So
dang, well, we were way off on that then.
So he had some big ones all right there in a row.
Yeah.
Field of Dreams, Dances with Wolves, and Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. And then The Bodyguard was 92. Like pretty much he was rolling out for four straight years. He was in some of the biggest films of the year. And then Bull Durham was just the year before Field of Dreams. So
yeah. But you see that though, these actors, it's kind of like when they hit and they have like a bunch of hits come out.
Yeah.
And they I feel like, and it would make sense for a guy like him. He's starting out kind of hitting those big roles and he gets a bunch. And I feel like you see it a lot of times when dudes' careers like really take off, they're in like every movie for several years. Yeah. And then they start to like Brad Pitt, you'll see him in a movie every couple of years.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think it's because it's kind of the same thing with like farming or anything. You're like new on the scene. So you got to get the ground you can get. You got to kind of make a name and get out there.
Yeah. Make hay while the sun's shining, which that's a sore subject there too. But
well, we're going to talk about that.
But yeah, he's had an impressive career.
Well,
he's not. He gets to the point you're not hungry anymore.
Yeah.
I mean.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, after how many $20 million movie deals do you finally be like, what's another $20 million? When you get to the level
that's another $2 million for my agent.
Yeah.
Another $8-9 million for the government.
Yeah. I actually watched an interview with Nicolas Cage yesterday, and because man, I'm a fan of old Nick. He's got some very iconic roles. Did you ever watch Raising Arizona?
No.
You got to watch it. I think that was one we had talked about on here.
That's a movie?
Yes. Nicolas Cage he's a baby thief. He's actually like a petty moron thief. And he hooks up with this chick and they want a baby. And this family has had like quintuplets or something crazy. And so they're like, they got enough, they can spare one. So he goes to steal a baby. But it's a comedy. Like, it's a funny movie. It's the Coen brothers. So, that's the same guys that did, did they do No Country for Old Men? Yes. No Country for Old Men. Man, they've done a bunch of the True Grit remake, Fargo. I don't know if you ever watched it.
No, but Fargo's one of those. I mean, I just don't have time, but like I've heard enough people that I was like, yeah, I would probably enjoy that.
Yeah. Well, the Coen brothers, I love their movies.
Yeah.
And they made it, and it's a classic in my mind. But I was going to say, like, I think that's one of the reasons why a guy like Clint Eastwood is such a boss, because he played these bad to the bone dudes in these Westerns, and then he was like also in real life a hard-nosed conservative. And, you know, like I think he came out here recently, wasn't endorsed like that moron Bloomberg. But before then, you know, and a lot of people criticized his weird speech he gave at the RNC.
Yeah.
But hell, he's 80 years old. I mean, look at what Biden says every day.
And this will piss you off even more with Costner, or maybe not. Maybe it's the opposite. He was a Republican, he was buddies with Ronald Reagan.
Oh, really?
So they played golf together, like frequently played golf together. It wasn't like just once. And then about the time he hit it big, Holly Weird got to him.
Really?
His first big Democratic, you know,
Bill Clinton
candidate that he supported was Gore.
Man,
he was campaigning for Obama.
Yeah, I knew he had recently gone like really hard.
He wasn't initially a Biden man. He campaigned for Mayor Pete.
The old gay Pete.
Mayor Pete, like, and then of course once it was Biden, he supported him. So I was like, yeah, whatever. I mean, just
Jeez.
Man, it's almost like you can't get into Hollywood and escape, you know, still being a Republican.
Well, that's how, you know, Chris Pratt. I don't know how he's made it, but you know, he's made it. Like because I directly have asked like Jack Carr if Chris is on that Kool-Aid, and he's like, he is not. He's not on that. Which I follow Chris on stuff. I don't know if you follow him on like Instagram.
Yeah.
You know, he raises lambs to slaughter, and he'll put up a picture of like one time, I'll never forget one time he put up 2 pictures, and the first picture was like these cute lambs, and he was like, these are our lambs. And then you swipe to the next picture and it was cooked lamb chops, and he was like, and here they are, we're about to eat them. And people were like losing their minds, and he just didn't care.
Yeah, I cooked lamb chops Saturday night.
I have only had lamb one time, and it was when I ate Texas Day Brazil, and then I had food poisoning the following night, so I've never had it again.
You know, I've had it there. And when I've eaten there, and it's been a while, and there was 2 different kinds of lamb. They have a leg of lamb, and then they have lamb chops.
I think I had leg of lamb.
That's probably my least favorite meat they offer, and the lamb chops may be one of my favorites.
Really?
It's just the leg of lamb has a real strong gamey taste to it. At least the way they cook it, and the chops don't at all.
I told somebody if I imagine killing and cooking an old person, that's what it would have tasted like.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the leg of lamb. Now I'm one of those people, like when I go to Texas Day Brazil, the first time they come by with it, and be like, yeah, put me a slice on it. Yeah, I'm gonna because I'm gonna eat a little bit of everything.
Yeah, the garlic sirloin was my go-to.
Yeah,
but I won't go to that place
I'm a
again.
Beef guy for sure, but
yeah. I'm done with Texas Day Brazil. That was enough of a traumatic experience for me.
I'll go back.
I barfed so hard for so many days after that. No, not going back. Yeah, man, I don't know, but that is, we say all that to say, like, yeah, you know, I've had to just look past the politics on a lot of them. I mean, I don't watch his new stuff. And also, here's kind of one thing I do, like the guy I'm about to talk about. This guy is an absolute imbecile, but it's Robert De Niro.
Oh, yeah. Like,
De Niro is one dumb son of a bitch when it comes to politics. And like the shit he says where he's like, I want to punch Trump in his effing face. And I'm like, golly. And it's hard for me because I love some of his old movies. Like, you know, I've referenced it on here many times. I think the movie Heat.
Yeah.
It is the most awesome shootouts I've ever seen in my life in a movie. And I mean, and I love, oh man, what's the name of the one? Did you ever watch? Well, there was Taxi Driver, which is crazy, but then I think it's Cape Fear. Did you ever watch Cape Fear with him?
No.
Man, it's a pretty legit movie. He's basically he's a rapist, and he's out of prison. And the lawyer that was supposed to defend him knew he was guilty. And so he actually more or less purposely let him get busted because he was like, this guy's a rapist piece of crap.
Yeah.
So De Niro, when he serves his term, he gets out and he comes after that guy's family, and he's like trying to kidnap the dude's daughter and all this stuff. And I mean, he's a bad dude in there. Like it takes off his shirt at one point and he's like covered in tattoos and he's actually ripped. And these guys try to jump him. Like the lawyer has a guy, he pays some people to like basically beat him up. Try to kill him. And they come at him with like bike chains and pipes, and he beats the hell out of all of them. Like it's a pretty darn legit movie.
Yeah.
But I just don't watch his new stuff, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it's, like him saying that, in reality, like if, obviously he was gone on the record saying he'd like to punch Trump in the face, but most people it's easy to be a jerk like that, like online or when, in reality, if they were like in a closed room together, no cameras, he'd probably shake Trump's hand and like have a cordial conversation with him.
Yeah.
May still not like his politics, but people.
Trump also probably is at least 4 or 5 inches taller than him.
Well, you hear a lot of like celebrities or like political like commentator type people that, like online, or like, you read any of my posts on Twitter, like there's going to be people in there like telling me like all kinds of awful, mean things to me. And Clay Travis, the one I specifically think of, but he's always said like he never ever once, not in his entire life, he's been, well known, some degree of celebrity for probably close to 20 years now, met anyone on the street that said a mean word to him once.
Yeah.
He's like, but if you look at like just the interactions he gets online, you would think it, like 50% of the people out there want to, just punch him in the face.
Yeah.
Or, would spit in his face, whatever. He's like, no, he's like, everybody I meet, they're like, either just say hi, they're nice, or they want to take a selfie with me. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
everybody's a tough guy on the internet.
Yes, they are. You know who Charlize Theron is?
Yeah.
Did you see her latest thing?
Not at all.
I saw like just a little meme one of the news stations had made on Instagram, and it was her quoting, or it was her quote, and I'm gonna kind of butcher it a little bit, but it said, "If I hear anybody saying something negative or mean about the trans community, I will personally F them up." And that's what she said. And I commented on the thing, and I just said, let's be real. What is she actually going to do? And like a bunch of people have liked it because it's like, what are you going to do? Like, what are you going to do, Charlize Theron? Come and let me say something and you come punch me in the face. Let's say that she actually did that. It's like, then that just really paid out well for me because I'm about to sue the balls off of you.
Yeah, it'd be the best thing. Yeah, I mean, and that's a nice way to pun the trans.
That's right.
I mean,
she might have a set under there.
Yeah.
She might have got some prosthetics.
Yeah.
So, but Costner, and he's played a farmer. He played a farmer, I think, in Man of Steel.
Well, I mean, in like I say, Field of Dreams.
He plays a Field of Dreams, and obviously Yellowstone. He's a rancher.
Yeah.
So, but
it's weird because his audience, I would guarantee for pretty much the fans of most of his movies they certainly don't lean liberal. It might be split 50-50 like much of the country, but I'd bet a large amount of money that most of the people that enjoy his stuff, don't agree with his politics.
We know Robert Duvall's he was a big Republican. That was his co-star on Open Range.
Oh yeah. No, I'm a big fan of Robert Duvall.
Didn't he die?
Oh gosh, we it seems like we do this.
We need a young Jamie, like Joe Rogan has.
Is this celebrity dead or not? Who was it? Bob Barker.
Yeah, and he wasn't dead, was he? No, he's like 107, but he's not dead.
Well, he's just a few months younger than my granddad, so he'll be 100 this year.
Yeah.
Robert Duvall.
I think he died.
I don't think he did. Let's see here. Wikipedia, never wrong. He's still alive.
How old is he? He's got to be in his 80s.
So, 31. So he'd be 90. 92. Yeah, he turned 92 in January.
Well, maybe we'll get him on here.
Yeah.
We need to have Robert Duvall on Talk Dirt to Me.
Yeah, born 1931, no death. So.
Wow.
Oh yeah, no, he's another one that, like, yeah, he hadn't been in many, at least recent films that I was not a fan of, but yeah, I guess he hadn't been in much recently. Period. But
yeah, I mean, he probably can't walk anymore.
But it's like we've talked here before. Like, if a film's less than 20 years old, I consider it recent.
Yeah,
like Open Range, I consider to be fairly recent. I think is exactly 20 years old.
I was gonna say that's like, you know, the original Matrix like still doesn't seem that old to me, but that's an old movie now.
Yeah.
Well, I showed Bobby Lee. I indulged in the old vice, man. I tell you, I've done it smartly though. When I put a chaw in, I bought a bag of Levi Garrett, and it was a fresh, clean bag.
What'd you have to pay for it? I don't know. We were talking about that last week.
I don't know, because I bought several bottles of water too. Okay. But it was just the 2 bottles of water and that bag of chew. It was probably $12, so it would have been probably $8 or $9.
Yeah, it's expensive.
But man, I really did enjoy it, because I actually chew on it a little bit. Like I put it over there and I
work it around.
You chew on it, and one of the most strangely satisfying things, like a non-dipper, non-chewer would never probably understand this, and I only kind of realized it when I was experimenting with the like alternative tobaccos, is, man, there's just something nice about putting a chew or a dip in and your spit is as black as this soundboard. Like, because the fake dip, some of it that I tried, you'd put it in there and you'd spit and your spit would be as clear as water. And it's like, well, that ain't no count. Like, when I'm chewing tobacco, I want to spit and I want it to look like I just spit some ink out of my mouth.
Yeah.
But man, I enjoyed it. Got a nice buzz. I would take it. I only chewed for about 10 minutes at a time. I was like, I'm not going to be dumb. I ain't going to play roulette here.
Yeah.
So I'd get a buzz going, and then I'd chunk the chew out. And it's just something about, especially driving a tractor and just spitting, having your spit cup.
Makes you feel manly.
Dude, it does. I sent you that picture and Brandon Lilly, and then in a little group I'm in, and that was almost what I said. I'm like, dude, there's just something about chewing tobacco. It makes you feel like a rugged American man.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
I agree, yeah.
I did watch an interview with a doctor that has studied tobacco for 20 years. And smokeless tobacco in particular. And he said that there is virtually no chance of mouth cancer from chewing tobacco.
Really?
He was like, I mean, and it was about an hour-long episode, and that's all he talks about. And he said smoking it is horrible. He was like, smoking is the worst. But he said from a statistical standpoint, he was like, I'm not going to say no one he said, I'm not going to say no one has never gotten mouth cancer from dipping or chewing. He said they have. But he said, statistically speaking, your chances are very, very, very low. Like,
yeah.
He was like, and he was basically saying it's so low that it would almost be difficult to even necessarily attribute it to the tobacco. And he said, because if that were the case, he just said there's towns in like Birmingham, Alabama that should be covered in mouth cancer. Because he was like, everybody dips and chews out there.
Yeah.
So it was pretty interesting. It made me feel better because I was listening to it while I had the chewing tobacco in my mouth there. But
yeah. So,
yeah, I don't know, but I've sent it to you. It was an interesting listen.
Yeah. Well, I could see that where, statistically it increases your risk, by such a marginal percentage that it's still such a low chance. So
yeah, well, that's it. He said tobacco becomes dangerous when it is burned. He was like, that's That's what more or less releases the, I guess, carcinogenic or whatever carcinogens out of there, and He was like, that's when you're in danger. Because, he was very adamant. He was like, if you smoke, you need to stop. He was like, smoking is terrible for you. And his whole big argument was that the FDA is, shocker, they've been lying to us, like, about the dangers of dipping. Because he was like, if you look on a pack of chewing tobacco or dip, it says this is not a safe alternative to cigarettes. Have you seen that on there? Or to smoking, whatever it says. And he was like, that is such bull crap. He was like, dipping and chewing is absolutely a safer alternative to smoking. He was like, if you're going to, and he said, and you're doing a disservice, because he said, you have a lot of people that smoke that maybe just, they got to have that nicotine. They're just too hooked on it. And he said, and they could start dipping and their lungs would get better. And he was like, man, it would actually be a very good thing for them from a health standpoint. But he said, the FDA.
You kind of give them an excuse not to, like, well, I might as well just keep on smoking.
Yeah. There's nothing else, But he did say 40% of smokers also dip. So they're like really getting their fix.
Yeah.
It was some big statistic. I think it was 40% smoke and dip.
High, but
That does. So I don't know, but I did enjoy it. Now you said you had sunflower seeds.
Yeah, I did. My kids both playing ball. Just something about being in the ball field. You need your sunflower seeds.
Oh yeah.
So, I've got a bag on the tractor right now. And so just something about.
Are they ranch?
These are actually, I bought a big variety pack. And so these are cracked pepper.
Oh, I never had that kind.
There's all kinds of them that I'd never heard of. And some of them aren't as good, but I'm committed. Like once I open a bag, I'm going to finish it off before I open the next one. But ranch is good. I had like some bacon cheeseburger ones. Like, wow. Those were pretty good. The dill pickle ones.
I like the pickle ones. I've had those.
Of course, they got like barbecue and all sorts of things. There's some real oddball ones. I bought like this huge variety pack. I shouldn't have bought it because it's more seeds, which as long as you don't open them, they stay pretty good. Because like a pack I recently opened it, they're still fresh. But I did today though, because I was, it's a pretty big bag. I'll pull some out from my. There's a cucklebur in there.
Really? Yeah. Wow, man, that would have been a nice thing to chew on. Yeah. Dang. I was like, quality control missed that one.
Yeah, their cleaning process. But obviously, I fully understand. Hey, it can happen. But I was like, oh, I've never done that before.
Imagine if somebody like ate that.
Oh, it'd go right through you. But yeah,
that'd be funny to see a cucklebur in your turd there.
Yeah.
Oh man, there was. Do you do spit out the seed or the shell, or do you eat?
Oh yeah. I don't eat the shell.
Somebody had sent me, I asked because somebody sent me a little internet video on Instagram, a little meme, and dude was talking about his time in the military. He said that when he went to the recruiting dude's office, recruitment office, he said they were telling him all this awesome stuff he was going to be doing. And he said, I'll tell you what I ended up doing. He said, I went in and they put me in the medical bay. And he said, one of the most prominent things I can remember was a guy came in there and he said he had been eaten a whole pound of sunflower seeds. And he said, and he ate the seed and the shell and everything. Damn. And he said, and it had lodged itself, like I guess when he went to pass it, like somehow it had lodged itself in his ass. Like the turd, I guess, had so much stuff. He said it had lodged itself there. And so he said, my recruiter that said I would be doing awesome things, he said, I actually was having to dig the turd out of this guy's butthole.
He had an impaction.
Yeah. And he said, and he was like, and for everyone wanting to know, he said, I did it without wearing gloves because we're in Afghanistan. We don't have time for that kind of stuff.
Oh, and so that's too much.
He said, it gets better. I have
to do some nasty shit with my job, but people
get
on to me for not wearing gloves for a lot of things, but if my finger's going up a dog's butthole, it's got a glove on it.
Well, he said after I got done, I then couldn't resist and I just had to do the sniff test.
I almost got to call BS now.
But he did say, yeah, he said he dug it out. He said the dude had eaten a pound of sunflower seeds. What was the dude doing? I don't know.
And a pound is a lot because those bags that I got, are big. You know, they're a lot bigger than like the bag you would get like if you bought them at a baseball game. And I think they're like 5.5 ounces.
Yeah.
So that means he ate 3 of those.
Yeah.
Like, good gosh, like I can't eat that. Like even when I'm just eating the seeds and I'm on a tractor at a ball field all day, like if I eat half a bag, I'm like, damn, I ate way too many.
Well, you think about it though, the guy was probably like eating them like potato chips because he's not spitting the holes out. So he's just like probably grabbing handfuls and just eating.
Damn, it's still just the amount of sodium.
Could you imagine eating the husk, like the whole of that? That doesn't even, I can't imagine that even tasting good.
Well, I mean, you would think it would just go right through you. Yeah, it's just a lot of fiber, but apparently it
lodged right in there.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Our country's finest.
Yeah.
Well, you said you had a topic. I got one as well that I'll hit on, but I'll let you go first.
There was just kind of a current news story, and it's been kind of in the news for a week or two. But of course, we had talked about the ghost cattle.
Yes.
Out in Washington. I think it was Easter Day was their last name or the man's last name, that family.
I think Philip told me he listened to that podcast. He was talking about how wild it was.
Well, there has been another one. I don't think it's quite as big a scale, and it's more in our neck of the woods.
Uh-oh.
We find it here. So Brian McLean, 52, of Benton, Kentucky, which is right outside of Mayfield. I looked it up.
Yeah.
Which is not, I mean, that's less than 150 miles from us. I mean, I know people that sell cattle routinely in Mayfield.
Yeah.
We've sold cattle in Mayfield. I say our dads have sent them up there.
Yeah.
But yeah, he had 3 entities, and he had 7M cattle feeders of Hereford, Texas, and McLean Feed Yard of Freona, Texas. Filed bankruptcy petitions. But yeah, it was like a Ponzi scheme. He had sought out investors, which offered them a guarantee of 30% return. So apparently some investor did see hefty profits, but they were apparently paid with just other borrowed money,
Yeah.
But he committed suicide. And I actually have seen something else, and I could not really confirm it, and it did not say who it was. But apparently there were 2 other people involved in it that committed suicide as well.
Jeez.
So, which, I mean, I don't know, I guess when you're, $100 million plus in debt and caught in a scam like that, you may feel like that's the only way out. But
I'd have to Jesse James it.
Yeah.
I'd stage somebody killing me.
Yeah.
I don't think do you think he's dead? Well, he's obviously dead now. But do you think he actually was murdered?
I don't know. I've never looked into that story enough. I know got a more modern day version, but maybe getting to the point now where you'd say, well, he's old enough, he'd be dead too. But old Popcorn Sutton.
Yeah, I heard. Yeah.
I know people personally that live in that county, that area.
Yeah.
That the story there locally, and I'm going to get some of the details wrong, and none of this was official, but supposedly when he committed suicide, and Popcorn Sutton's famous moonshiner.
You can buy his moonshine.
Yeah, they sold off the name, to a legit group or whatever.
It's actually pretty good.
But supposedly, so he committed suicide, there at his home or whatever, and normally the county coroner or whatever has to, show up, even if you're clearly dead. Like they have to come out and officially say you're dead or whatever for the death certificate or whatever. And the story went that the sheriff himself, was the first one on scene or was there and said, no, he's dead, declared it, and boom, never to be seen again. He's dead and gone. But like supposedly, he and the sheriff were
buddies,
were buddies, and like there are still people around there that were like, no, he ain't dead, So I don't know. Maybe a total urban legend, but
I'm rooting for old Popcorn then.
Yeah, I don't know. That's another one, which we could do this all night. Just looking up. It's been several years, probably been 10 or so years since that happened, and he was really old at that time.
But it was only like 16 months in prison he was facing or something, wasn't it? Wasn't even like a big charge.
It may not have been, yeah, because it wasn't like, I don't think, he didn't.
I didn't think he was as old as he looked, though. I thought he was actually younger than we thought. Or I did. I thought
I just remember
he was actually only 38 years old. No.
He lived hard.
Yeah.
I just remember, like, he probably got most famous, whenever,
Johnny Knoxville.
Yeah, Johnny Knoxville, went there. And
he likes some big women.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, it was 09 was when he.
Dang, has it been that long ago?
Yeah, man, time flies.
Golly.
14 years. But he was born in 46, so that.
Well, he's older than I thought.
26 would have made him 80. Hell, he'd only be in his 70s today.
Okay, well, that's right then. Yeah.
Yeah, he'd have been in his early 60s when he committed suicide. But you're right. He was younger than my dad. He was 62 when he died. And I'm like, he looks a hell of a lot older than my dad does.
Them big women have just crushed it out of him.
Yeah.
Popcorn, if you want to get a better understanding of popcorn something, you need to just YouTube it. There's a very raunchy clip of him with Johnny Knoxville, and he's...
Well, the language... and
well, that's what I'm talking about, yeah.
There's no... it's on YouTube. There's no nudity or anything.
Yeah. But he talks about, what's he say?
It'd be... Not for kids, but
if a woman's under 300 pounds, he don't consider her much of a woman. Isn't that what he said?
It was a big lady. I don't know what it was.
And he's got to weigh like 100 pounds soaking wet.
Yeah, yeah.
But he looks like a moonshiner. That's what he is. But he is like a typical, like if you went to Gatlinburg, to Dollywood or something, there's like every little poster board cut out of like the typical East Tennessee and moonshiner. It's pretty much Popcorn 7.
Yeah.
Looks just like him. But I don't know. I like to believe that some of them guys are able to like stage it and just vanish, because that's Jesse James. There was some really cool ones with him, like, because I kind of looked at some of that stuff, and there was later censuses taken, and I saw some photographs, and there was like an older guy, and I can't remember what he was going by at the time, but it was a large speculation that it was actually Jesse James, and he had staged his death because, man, everybody wanted to be the one that killed Jesse James.
Yeah.
So they were like, he literally was to the point where it was like, hell, he basically in Jeremiah Johnson, the Indians won't stop coming to kill him. And that's kind of like how Jesse James was. So he finally was like, I got to stage this thing, get out of this.
Right.
So, I've had to think about that. I'm such a wanted man. Like, I have to.
But yeah, Brian McLean. So
him and 2 others killed themselves.
That was the latest I saw. I do not have an actual reference. I don't even know where I'd heard that. But yeah,
what would you do?
These schemes, and I don't know. Which I got to think. I was like, why? And I guess I don't know. My first thought was a lot of people don't understand cattle. Certainly people outside the industry, a lot of people inside, like the marketing and everything. Mm-hmm. And so it's easier to, kind of swindle investors out of a lot of money. But apparently, and actually this article went into it where, there was a lot of cattle sellers, I guess, that sold cattle to him that hadn't been paid. And, they're encouraging them, you need to file the claims through the USDA, because they might have a way to get at least some reimbursement. But anyway, yeah, that was kind of an interesting news story.
What would you do? Like, let's say you have a scheme going on and you're swindling whatever, $100 million somehow, some crazy amount from Tyson, whatever, and you find out you've been busted.
The walls are closing in.
And you're about to go. Your lawyer's like, best case scenario, you got 30 years with no parole, or you could be looking at, 60 years, no parole. You're gonna
60 years is a life sentence.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But heck, for either of us. So, but 30 years, you'd be an old man getting out of there. But there's no chance of parole. So you're looking at 30 years. What are you doing? You gonna go for it?
I don't know enough about if you did flee the country, where you could go to that you wouldn't be extradited.
Yeah.
And if there's that much money involved, I would imagine
they'd have a pretty close watch on you, probably.
Well, and even if you went somewhere, say some Caribbean island that doesn't, I don't know. I don't even know if that place exists. Especially with a company as powerful as somebody like Tyson, they'd have a way of getting you back here.
Yeah.
Whether it was legit or not, above board or not. I don't know. I think I just would probably try not to get in that situation.
That would be one
with me, it'd be more like tax evasion. It wouldn't be, me, cheating a private company out of money. It'd be me, simply keeping my money for myself and not letting it get pissed away.
Keeping the money you earned. Yes.
Yeah. And so, I'm not going to admit to anything but I don't know. I'd have, our government has a bad track record of, killing its own citizens when it comes to some of those situations.
Well, I've actually got a note here, which we've talked about it on one of the previous episodes, but I had Ruby Ridge wrote down right there.
Well, that's what I, for the FBI agents that are assigned to follow me and listen to my conversations, I'm not implying that I would actually do any of this, but especially right here around after tax season, I've made reference to I'm just going to go live on a mountain in Idaho several times. I don't know that I could ever go totally off grid. We're so damn tied in these days. I would like to think I could.
Yeah.
Just live a simple life, but hell, they wouldn't leave you alone.
No, that, and again, Ruby Ridge, that was the proving point for that. I wanted to find this thing. I saw this, I actually thought of you. It's funny. I'm in a group on Instagram, and this guy sent it, and he was like, "This is me." And I was thinking, I'm like, man, not really. But I was like, I got a pretty good idea who that would be. And I definitely thought about you on that one. I was like, because I can't reveal too much information that I know about you. But that might be somewhat, the government might not want to hear, but, this was very fitting for you. I got to find this.
I paid my damn taxes this year. I guess that's probably public record, but yeah, hell, I don't know. Paid a hell of a lot more than I should have had to.
I'm with you. I'm with you. Yeah. I don't know, man. Oh, here it is. All right. I'll play this for everybody. Are you familiar with Ron Swanson?
Yeah.
All right. I was like, this is some crap Bobby would pull. For reference, for those of you that can't see it, it's a clip from Parks and Rec, and it's Ron Swanson and several other employees, and they've been pulled over.
Sir, I've been operating heavy machinery since I was 8 years old. Now, I respect you and your service to this town and your country, but what laws are we breaking exactly?
Well, you got 4 people in the front seat. Nobody's wearing a seatbelt. You were speeding and blasting your horn through the hospital zone. The rear of the vehicle's open, debris been falling out, and you don't have a commercial license to drive a truck.
Okay. Well, we have a philosophical difference on what constitutes a law.
I need to see your hands, and could you step out of the vehicle, please?
Hi. I just wanted you to know we're about to be arrested.
Officer, I've been operating...
I just love the part where he's like, well, you and I have different philosophical ideas. What constitutes a law? I was like, that's Bobby Lee. Because that guy was like me, and I think I wrote back and I said, you're the one calling to say you're being arrested. I don't even know what brought that up, but that's what I thought of.
Yeah. Well, you were asking what I would do if I was fleeing the country.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I said I wouldn't be in. That's what I would be in trouble for. But
fleeing the country, if there was no way to do that, I don't know, man. If my only option was looking like I'm going to be facing the rest of my life in prison, that might be enough of a reason for me to be like, well, I might ride that magic bullet train down, but I don't know. Especially if there was no chance of parole. Like, cause then
it's hard to say, like, what's going through your mind. I mean, that has to be pretty depressing.
I've seen Escape from Alcatraz. I mean, I guess I could try to like dig a hole out of the prison cell, but I feel like fleeing the country would be the better route than going ahead and getting in prison and then having to try to plot my escape.
With all the damn surveillance and everything these days, I don't know.
Yeah. Or Shawshank Redemption. Have you watched it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've seen that one. Oh, yeah. Who had?
He uses a spoon and digs the thing out. If you got life in prison, you got time.
You couldn't try to fly anywhere. Obviously they'd have all that flagged unless you knew somebody with a private, had a private connection.
Yeah. I know a pilot.
I guess you could cross the border, Texas. Nobody's watching that shit.
No. Yeah. They're all in California. Isn't that where they're all? Or where is it? No, it's in Texas.
Well, the Title 42 or whatever's in, and apparently there was a big gunfight on the border today, but
really?
I think it was on the Mexican side. Like it was all Mexican authorities in a gunfight. But anyway.
Well, it's getting a little crazier here too. I did see with China, have you seen where they're actually cutting back on their corn exports from the U.S.?
What they're importing from us?
Yep.
No, I hadn't seen that.
It's been, apparently they keep canceling contracts, and now I just read today that I think for the first time ever they're buying corn from South Africa. Like they're doing basically everything they can to stop doing business with the U.S., especially when it comes to the agriculture sector. Huh. So I mean, as a corn farmer, I'm
just in terms of just being in a trade war with us, or
more or less, from my understanding, that's kind of what it is.
It's still okay.
They're I don't know. There's no way they could gain, or well, I guess they could. I don't know what all they necessarily import from the U.S. because obviously the U.S. imports a lot from China because, I mean, hell, everything you see is made in China. That's why we do the American-made segment. I mean, this right here. Let's see, this remote, made in China. Like that cup right there, made in China. I guarantee it.
Yeah, just poured water on me.
Because the Yeti cups, I'm pretty sure are made in China.
Yeah, most. So,
like, I mean, we're surrounded by stuff that's made in China. So, I mean, obviously the imports are huge, but that moonshine made in China.
Oh,
so, no, that's why we like our whiskey and moonshine on this show, because I've never drank Chinese bourbon.
That's what I got to think about. I mean, I guess they couldn't even legally call it bourbon, but
there is Japanese bourbon.
Well, I know, like, obviously there's some Japanese beers and there's sake.
Which I don't have a problem with our Japanese brethren.
No, they're an ally now.
We bombed them into the right line.
I do wonder about, like, our grandfather's generation. Because of course, our shared granddad.
Right here.
Picture of him right there.
Big C. Have we ever talked about that on air?
I don't know that we have.
Let me see if I can zoom in enough. Now, there may be a glare.
That's a picture of him during World War II.
Yep, right there. Big C, man. Curtis Hanks.
So he was an MP in London when he got to England. I think the story my dad always says, because he was a big guy.
Yep.
They're like, no, you're going to be an MP because you can handle these drunk and rowdy GIs.
Yeah.
And
it's not what he was wanting to be.
Right. My mom's dad, who's still living, also in the Army, was in the Pacific. And so he doesn't have any love lost for the Japanese. Which, I mean, I can't blame him. Like,
yeah.
He tells stories about the booby traps and stuff they encountered on some of the islands as they were working their way up. And yeah, like I still don't have a heart to tell him that I've got a Kubota tractor and my wife drives a Toyota. But because nowadays, like we love the Japanese.
Yeah,
like, there may be, you know,
yeah,
especially outside of Europe. I don't know. I'm not a geopolitical expert, but maybe our most important ally. You know.
Yeah. And you know, China hates them. I think it's like I've always heard,
but it's so weird how everything flipped. Like that's why I've gotten a lot more interested in World War II history. I'm reading World War II book now. Read several. How many people nowadays, like if you did like the whole like person on the street, like just ask them, you know, just real quickly name basically, you know, generally just who was on which side during World War II, would believe that China and Russia were on our side, you know, and nowadays and Japan and Germany were the enemies, and now it's completely flipped.
It is funny. I mean, I guess it's just, I mean, you know, to put it plainly, we kicked their ass into submission, basically.
Right.
I mean, you know, Japan, that was like, I mean, you know, Hiroshima wasn't no shit, man. You know, we were like, all right, and that stuff, but that's a different America. You know, that was the kind. Me and DeSalvo have talked about it. Like that was back when the military knew what the military was there for. They were there to kill, and that's what he's told me. I mean, this is a good buddy of ours. He's a family friend, and he's like a colonel in the Marine Corps. And I mean, he was in the Marines, and we've talked about it a lot. He's like, you know, at the end of the day, the military's job, you can call it defense, you can call it what it is, but he was like, it's killing people. He was like, that's what we do. And so he said, the problem, he was talking about like the Afghanistan war and all that, and he was like, the problem with it is we didn't go in there and just do what we needed to do. Like he was like, well, we weren't the hammer that came in and just crushed the enemy. And so
we kind of pussyfooted around.
Yeah.
And then, before we knew it, it just kind of got away from us.
Yeah. And I mean, you look at World War II, I mean, you had guys like Patton and guys like that were like, you know, just boom, they were the hammer.
And people, I mean, I'm a big sports fan. Like, use that analogy in sports. If you jump on an opponent early, you don't screw around, let them get back in the game. You put your foot on their throat and you finish them right then.
Yeah.
Like go ahead and send the kids to bed early. Like, this is over.
Yeah. Well, that's why the Nazis and the Germans were so powerful with that whole blitzkrieg attack. You know, I mean, hell, I'm just assuming that the whole blitz defense came from the blitzkrieg.
Oh yeah, well,
thing. I mean,
that's what so many of football terminology is military based.
Yeah,
you know, blitz. You know,
FUBAR.
Well, you know, like they talk about an air raid on offense. You know, and just there's a lot of parallels there. You know, it's kind of another interesting thing how a lot of the sports media is gone like totally woke, and you're like football is like a violent sport. It's pretty much, you know, in a lot of ways, a lot of people think it exists because, you know, men need a way to
let out that violence.
You know, especially in the absence of like active like warfare going on all the time. You know,
but they want to mitigate the violence. You know, I feel like they're constantly trying to soften.
They do violence a little bit, and especially when it comes to being able to hit the quarterback. But those dudes, it's still pretty damn violent.
Yeah,
it's not a contact sport; it's a collision sport.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how things unfold with China. As a corn grower, it is concerning for me to see that because, I mean, the corn prices were pretty strong going into this year, and I booked some corn, but looking at that, I may end up wishing I had booked a whole lot more come harvest.
And the tricky thing with them, because at the end of the day, you still sit there and you got to think about it from a global market. You know, there's still the same number of people that got to be fed, one way or another. But again, when it's China,
they'll kill off some of theirs, maybe.
Yeah, they if it gives them leverage to hold out, they'll let their people go hungry. Yeah. In order to, if they think it benefits them in the long run,
That's that good old-fashioned communism for you.
A buddy of mine, that's what he's always said. He's like, that's why China is so hard and why we'll probably never win a trade war with them. It's like in America, our politics are always in 2 to 4 year cycles. Like everybody's just trying to get reelected. And so nobody's willing to like play the long game.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, China, that's all they're playing is the long game. Like they don't care.
Well, you're seeing it. Yeah.
Like they're thinking literally like in millennia.
Yeah.
Like they don't care about tomorrow, next year, maybe even the next 100 years, but they want to be the global power 500 years from now.
And the way things are going, they're probably headed in that direction.
Well, I wouldn't, he made a good point. I was like, he's like, over here, we're just, they know that when it comes to negotiating with us, it's easy.
Yeah.
Like they can just, their poker face is unbeatable.
Well, and you see it. Hell, I've talked about like you see it with the COVID thing. How long did it take? I mean, the COVID thing hit, and basically our economy shut down in like a matter of like weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, and you saw, and the people here, it was like the toilet paper craze. Like it was like toilet paper suddenly went nuts, like right when it started. It's like, man, are people just suddenly shitting like madmen? Like, what is going on here? Like, so it's kind of astonishing to see how rapidly like it all declined here. And China, I mean, what's the famous quote? I don't remember who said it, but I think he was talking about the Afghanistan war, but it was saying, the Americans have all the watches, but we have all the time. And that's kind of the same way that China is. Again, they're playing that long game, man. I mean, we proved with the COVID thing, we can't hang in there for a month before panic sets in.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's interesting. It'll be really interesting to see. I did have a guy reach out. Actually, I'll ask your thoughts on this. I won't say any names because he didn't reach out like as a questionnaire, but he was asking kind of my input. And I think this would be something to consider. Well, I don't have to look it up. Basically, he was saying what my thoughts were on a mobile farm equipment cleaning company. Like come around, would clean the combine, clean the tractors, whatever. And I said, man, I don't know. I said, it's hard to say.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny that you asked that because actually, of course, we got several people in our area that do mobile like vehicle detailing. And I went by my parents' house today actually to drop off some beef. Picked up the last of our steers that were killed this year. And one of the guys that was there, it's a good friend of ours, was washing my mom's horse trailer and then was about to detail her one or two of the other cars that so yeah, that's a horse trailer, but
yeah,
I don't know what he would charge, and he's probably busy enough just doing regular vehicles. Like if you had asked him to come do a combine after harvest, I don't know, he would do it, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, that'd be very seasonal would be one problem. Like combines, everybody's going to want you to come detail them pretty much in the fall or even winter, depending on whenever at the end of harvest, and you might get to do that again, in the middle of the summer, if they got a wheat crop, but I don't know.
That's what I said. It's hard to say. So it's hard to say.
Lord have mercy, what they would have to charge for like a combine.
It'd have to be astronomical. Cause I'm going to tell you what, I've watched.
Cause it's an all day job.
Oh gosh.
Probably for more than one man.
It is awful. Washing the combine is terrible because you blow off like the way I typically will do it is I take an air hose and I'll blow it off first as best you can. I mean, because you got to clean. I mean, you can clean the outside of one and make it look real sharp, but if you open the wings up, it's caked with crap under there. So you got to clean all of it. So, man, like blowing up on the inside of that thing. Dude, I swear, you blow dust from one side and then you walk around to the other and it's all there. So then you blow it off of there and then you walk back around and it's all back there. It's like, I seriously feel like you just go from one side to the next. And like, You do that as best you can, then you pressure wash it, and it's the same thing with pressure wash. I mean, I feel like you could pressure wash and blow off a combine for 2 days straight, and you'd still be getting shit off of it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. And like a lot of the big time operators, the BTOs, they've all got
$10 an hour guys doing it.
Yeah, they got 20 guys on staff. And a lot of them, they've got them hired, year round,
Yeah.
And so they need them to have something to do, So if it takes them 2 months to get all the equipment cleaned up, well, good. They need something to keep them busy.
That's kind of what I told
the
him.
off season.
Yeah, I told him. I said the tough part is going to be your big guys. They're going to have some. The low men on the totem pole, they're going to be cleaning the equipment.
Yeah.
You're going to have them. Now, the thing to consider.
Because harvest is always, immediately following harvest is dead time.
Yep.
Typically.
Yep. Yep. And the one thing I told him, I said, there's these guys now that go around and they do basically clear coat applications on the tractors and stuff. They clean them up and then they like polish them, and then they'll put some sort of almost like a clear coating on there, and it keeps them shiny looking. So like you can have, and they do it and they polish out old paint. So like you could have an older, like my sprayer, the sprayer I traded for a sprayer. It's a 2013 model, which again, we were talking about like the Matrix, like a 2013. When I hear that, I'm like, it's a pretty new sprayer. Hell, it's 10 years old. But like to me, it's like, that's a pretty new sprayer. But like they'd come in and they would polish it out and it would look bright green, like new again. And then they put this coating on there that like holds that. And I think they get like $5,000 just for the sprayer.
Yeah.
And I think it's another like $2,000 if they do the booms. So like it's a lot of money in that. Like it's expensive.
Yeah. Well, and doing something that much specialized, or I know obviously probably his passion is just in the detailing, and maybe that's of course is where his skill is, but
yeah,
like being able to do like mobile like repairs, like really detailed mechanic stuff.
Yeah.
Welding, things like that. I think there's definitely a market for that.
Dude, yeah.
And it's going to be still a little bit seasonal. Obviously, they're going to have their busy times of the year. And you're probably going to have to be willing to work some crappy hours because, somebody breaks down during harvest, at the end of the day, they're going to want you there at 7:00 at night because come tomorrow morning when the dew dries off, they're going to want to be going again.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. But
dude, I'll tell you.
And you could charge big money to do it, especially if you were mobile.
Yeah.
Had a service truck,
Brock and he had rode with me actually when we took my bull to get processed. And it was right when I got butt raped by a stripling over.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's right.
They're a little short. I mean, the guy.
That's right, because you had the people that did your cylinders.
Yes, and that's what I was going to. This is what got me and Brock were like, dude, we need to just. Hell, we were like, we ought to just quit farming, and we got the service trucks. Hell, start a mobile service unit, because Stribling was getting around $200 an hour for their service stuff. Now, the other guys that I got to do it, they did a good job. They did, and I mean, they did it for, I think their rate was about $125 an hour.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that's still, you're like, damn, $125 an hour. That's a lot cheaper than Stribling and some of them, like Caterpillar. I think they charge around $190 to $200 an hour. So, dude, yeah, I mean, you nailed it on that. If a guy is pretty mechanically inclined, if you've got tools and you got a welder and you got those things, oh dude, I think you could make a pretty big, but yeah, your hours are going to suck. Because none of the dealerships have enough. That's our biggest complaint with our John Deere stuff. No, there's just not enough techs.
Yeah. And now a lot of that stuff is highly skilled and, depending on how much of it you want to do and whatnot, what type of equipment you work on, you got to have different software programs.
Yeah.
I've talked to a guy who does it more on the trucking side of things.
Yeah.
That's why he's like, I have to charge the hell out of people just to run a simple diagnostic, scan or whatever. I don't even know how it works. But he said, but I've got a computer program that I had to pay, $1,000 for just to have that, to download it or whatever.
Yeah.
So he's like, I got to pay for that. You know, that doesn't even count for my time, my fuel, anything else to get there. But yeah, so I don't know. And obviously that's a unique skill to be able to do that. But I think I probably mentioned on here, one of the mobile welders in our area has come out and done some work for me. And so he said, he's like, man, and this guy's probably 15 years older than I am. You know, maybe not quite my dad's age, but between me and kind of in between those two generations. He said, man, there's nobody. He's like, when we're done doing this, when I'm old and I retire, he's like, there's nobody up and coming in this field. Like, we don't have a competitor, you know, of a younger guy, you know, running an outfit or anything doing this. And he's like, man, we stay as busy as, I mean, we got, you know, you call us, it may be a few days before we can get to you.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's the thing. I kind of urge these guys that maybe they want to be in the ag kind of sector, but obviously we've talked about how difficult it is to start an operation. Man, kind of think outside the box. Like, you know, okay, yeah, look, I mean, I'll be honest, the worst part about ag equipment, in my opinion, is working on it. But like, you know, you would get to be a cog in the wheel of agriculture if you are part of what keeps these machines rolling and keeps guys going.
Yeah.
And man, I'm gonna tell you, there is something, hell, I thought about this. One of the things I try to do, not to get like cheesy here, but like yesterday, actually, I was on the tractor and I just said a little prayer on the tractor, and I was like actually just being thankful for being able to do what I do. I was like, I'm 32 years old.
You were 31 yesterday.
31, that's right. I'm 30, so that's what I was saying yesterday. I'm a 31-year-old guy. But I was like, I'm 31 years old. I'm on my tractor, pulling my planter, working my field, and like I get to do this. And like I get to get up in the morning and I can say, okay, today I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that. I don't have to get up and I don't have to go and see what my boss has on the lineup for me that day. Now, obviously there's a shitload of stress and other things that come along with that, because it's like, okay, if I don't get up and if I get up and I don't do the things that I need to do, there's also not somebody else that's going to do them. Like, it has to be me. But like, it's, there is something really cool about like being, you know, I'm thinking about a guy that maybe gets into service calls or welding or something like that, man. I mean, hey, it's pretty cool to be able to be your own boss.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a market there for it too.
I do too.
Which tonight we're not going to have a Farmer Wants a Wife update because we're recording on Wednesday night. We're actually recording on what originally was the night we started doing this, almost 2 years ago now.
Yeah. We're nearing 100 episodes.
Yeah, we're in the mid 80s now. Yeah. But so Farmer Wants a Wife, we started recording about 8:30 or so, and so it didn't even go off for another 30 minutes. So we'll have to have an episode update next week. You said you want to do a prediction, so they're all doing their second in-home visit with their other lady.
Yeah, you know, there's going to be 2 episodes. I was thinking this would be the last, but there's going to be a next one.
Yeah, it would make sense for there to be 2 more, because they'll kind of. I doubt anything will be decided after this week's episode.
That's what I told Marcy. Yeah.
Now I think the viewer will have a whole lot more of an idea, you know, which again, I think we all feel pretty confident that
Megan
Hunter's going to pick Megan. Yeah.
Well, now did you get? Man, I'm going to tell you, dude, Sydney was dropping some red flags for Hunter because, first of all, you talked about. It
makes me even feel more strongly that it's going to be Megan.
Yeah, well, we talked about, I guess, the fact that she's 22 years old.
Yeah, she all but was getting ready to like pull herself out of it. Like,
yeah, she's like, well, I don't want to have kids. He's going to want me to settle down. It's like, well, yeah, the dude's in his 30s. He doesn't want to be going to raves and doing ecstasy.
So I think, right. So I think that one's all but a done deal. I still think Ryan, ever since his mom, like
Sarah H.
singled out Sarah H., which he hasn't done the in-home with her yet. Again, Landon, which Gottlieb last episode, his dad died, but like
Did you see somebody, I haven't wrote back to him, somebody commented on our YouTube video and said that the women made him decide or made the choice for him. I guess talking about it was one of our past episodes. And so I do appreciate it means we have some listeners that are also invested in Farmer Wants a Wife. We're not only talking about it for each other.
I've had people message me and they're like, a damn show, and like my girlfriend makes me watch it now or whatever. But yeah, Landon, God bless him, and I feel bad for him losing his dad, certainly, but his whole, and it's not just him, it's his girls, like they're the least interesting one of all of them to me.
Yeah.
And Alan, I still think Alan's probably the one because, and it's not just because he's a Tennessee boy, but I really don't know which one he's going to pick.
I don't either.
We'll have a better idea after we get to watch tonight's episode, but I feel like Hunter's is a done deal. Ryan's is pretty close to a done deal.
See, I did feel like that with Ryan, but he really had a good time with Sarah V.
He did with Sarah V. That's why I'm not as convinced with him as I am with Hunter.
Yeah.
But, he was on that visit with her too. I feel like as long as nothing, if Sarah H just doesn't bomb the whole, like him visiting with her.
Yeah.
Like.
I'm going to tell you, she's a good looking chick.
Based purely on looks, he may have the best. If you like both of them combined, both of them are like.
Yeah, that's what I would venture to say. Sarah H is the hottest chick on the show.
I don't know. I think Alan, both of his are good looking.
Oh yeah, they definitely are. Kelsey and
Hunter. Sydney is just not my type. I don't think.
Yeah.
And again, Landon, I don't even know who his girls are.
Now, and we can't get too critical on them because we're going to have a couple of them on the show. So I don't want them to come on and be like, "Hey, I listened back and you were saying my girl I pick's ugly."
No, I don't think. I'm just saying she's not. But
no, Landon. I'll be honest. Landon is not looking. Landon's not one of the ones that's going to come on the show.
Well, Landon, and like obviously the one girl, Ashley or whatever, the blue-haired girl from Florida.
Yeah.
She's pretty. Nothing wrong with her.
The hair just throws me off.
Well, yeah, the blue hair is kind of weird, but I don't even know who his other girl is. I can't remember.
Zoe, I think. The little short, tan-looking chick.
Dude, that does not narrow it down. I don't know. They all have fake tans. And
she wears a dress to do farm chores. Come on.
Oh, yeah, that really narrows it down. But anyway, we'll have more of an update there next week.
Yeah, well, I'm still saying I'm going to agree with you on all of them. I think Sarah H pulled off with Ryan. Hunter's going to pick Megan. Landon is going to come out of the closet. And Alan is going to pick Kelsey, I still think.
He might. I think that one can go either way.
This is a house divided. Bobby Lee is on board with Rebecca, but it's kind of unfair because she's a horse chick. Bobby Lee's wife's a horse chick, so he's got a natural tendency to err towards her.
There might.
And she's a Cali woman. Bobby Lee likes that California lifestyle.
That's right. You don't ever know. Wouldn't that be a plot twist? If during in home she says, "Alan, I've got something to tell you. I was born a man.
Yeah.
And I transitioned 5 years ago." Good God. The crazy thing about it, that wouldn't be that crazy. People be like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah. Yep.
No, I don't think so. She has.
She's built very well to be for a woman.
Yeah. If she was born a man and turned into a woman, her surgeon deserves a Nobel Prize.
Yes. Yes. And if you need to know further why we feel that confident, you can look her up on Instagram and you will also see what we've seen and know.
Yeah.
But there you go. But yes, like I said, I'll keep alluding to it. Looks like in June we will hopefully have at least one of them. Actually, I need to follow up email the other one. Got two of them I have made contact with. One of them, hope to have him in-house. That'll just be fun. I'm hoping that we can make that happen. That'll be pretty cool.
Oh no, that'd be fantastic.
You going to be nervous having them in-house?
Man, because of your other podcast. You're the interviewing expert, so I feel like I'll just be the.
Oh, you'll be good to go. Yeah. You'll be good.
No, I will be pumped to do it.
Yeah.
We'll get a little that's bit. Why I won't be nervous. Is like Logan's is a good interviewer.
If it starts to get quiet and awkward, I'll be like, all right, yeah, let's just. We'll have some whiskey flowing too.
Oh yeah. Which. I don't know. I think they like sip on wine on the show. Like, if them don't drink, that's cool.
They drink beer, and I can tell it's a TV show because if you notice, the beer, the wrappings are gone.
Can't be drinking a Bud Light.
No, I'm pretty sure I haven't paid close enough attention, but I remember.
Which, of course, this was recorded like last fall. Like, how bad would that be if they were like drinking Bud Light? People were watching nowadays.
These bunch of queers.
Yeah. Which I'm sure you've seen the memes. It's like, this was one from a couple of weeks ago or maybe a month ago. It said, imagine you had been in a coma for the last 10 days and you, or like stranded on a desert island or somewhere off the grid. And you're thinking, man, I just want to sit down and have a Bud Light and watch Tucker tonight.
Oh man. Yeah.
Yeah. Can't do any of that.
Or if you were like one of those guys, we've got them around here that got the Budweiser tattoo.
Oh, damn. I don't know of anybody that has That's why I've never
get a brand tattoo.
Any kind of brand, because man, they can all go woke on you.
I am leaning more towards a tattoo. We had talked about that. I've got a pretty good idea of what it's going to be.
Into the full sleeve of like the Grim Reaper.
It's up here. I showed Marcy. She truly hated it. It is the Grim Reaper standing upon a heap of bones and skeletons, and I was like, this is so sick looking. And I showed her, and
just imagine you like wearing a short sleeve shirt at church, like the kids in the pew next to you.
I'd be like,
are gonna I have nightmares.
I'll have to really get on the creatine heavy then, because I'll be flexing at them if I see it. But I was talking to Brandon Lilly, and for people that don't know, my buddy Brandon, Brandon is solid tattoos. And I sent him the picture of it, and he said, man, that looks awesome. And he was like, you need to do that. And I said, I just love skeletons. And he was like, me too. And he sent me the picture, which I've seen it. He's got a skull on the side of his neck. Yeah. And I said, Marcy hates it. And he goes, well, that's why she's the woman. She's into dresses. You're not. You're into skeletons.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
So you got us?
Yeah, I do have.
Well, dang, you had the anticipation going there.
Words. Made in America.
So this was actually a company that a listener, and I apologize, I'm not prepared, don't have a name.
There you go.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
I was pretty stoked.
I don't know if I can put that on my body permanently though, but a listener had reached out and said this is a company we ought to highlight. So happy birthday.
All right.
Case Knives.
Yeah.
Made in America. Even better, I was able to buy that from one of our local small businesses. For those of you in our area, of course, Haddad's department store.
Sharp too.
So which of course we've I think in our 80-something episodes that we've done a company each week. We've probably done a dozen different knife companies, but
I can't believe we've never done Case though.
We had.
I have a couple of Case knives.
Yeah, I always have.
They're always super sharp too. Yeah. Man, no, I appreciate that. That's slick.
I believe Pennsylvania.
I don't know if y'all can see that.
Pennsylvania. But I was like, well, heck yeah. And then I was pretty certain that Haddad's was a dealer for them, had a display. I was like, yeah.
So American made and locally purchased in person.
Oh, yeah. Supported American manufacturing and a local small business.
That is awesome. Man, I appreciate that. Yeah, that's a slick knife. I like that. Is that antler? Is that what they'd consider that, or is that a type of bone?
They called it, which I thought about this when you were talking about the carcinogens earlier. There's a cancer and reproductive harm warning.
Oh man,
California.gov.
Gonna give me cancer. My pocket knife.
Amber bone.
Amber bone
is what I knew it. It's on there somewhere.
That is slick. I like that, man. I've actually considered, because I carry two knives, and I carry them both. I carry a fixed blade and then that switch blade. And I've considered going back to one like this that doesn't have the clip. Now, I like the clip because I clip it on, but I also hang the clip all the time.
See, I don't ever use a clip.
Because of that?
That and just, I don't know, I like to have it down in my pocket.
Yeah.
Depending on what I'm doing, but yeah.
Well, now that I carry the fixed blade, I'd be more apt to carrying one in my pocket.
Yeah.
Because that, I have lost 2 knives before because of the clip.
And I've got a bunch of fixed blade knives, but I just don't. And like I've got a few like in a sheath that I wear on my belt, like especially like when I'm castrating calves and stuff like that. But maybe but typically even when I'm hunting, I don't. Like I probably have 2 or 3 fixed blade knives in my pack.
Yeah,
as if I would need that many. But I don't ever like just carry it on my body. It's always in my pack.
Have you ever tried that Amtac Northman? I don't have it on me, but I wear it every day.
I have not. I bought the mini Speed Goat from Montana Knife. I've yet to be able to comfortably have it affixed to my pocket where I can like do all the things I do on a day-to-day basis. And like
reach a wiener in your pocket.
Well, like my hand's always in my pocket, needing to grab my keys and whatever. And it's just like, I don't know if it, and it's got an adjustable, like Kydex sheath. And I bought that one and I tried it for like a day or two and couldn't make it work. And
I'll have to bring my Northman out here next time and let you see what you think. Because I've gotten used to, and I can keep my phone in there. Like I like it. But no, that's sharp, man. I appreciate that. Case knives. I've heard of them. Like I said, I got a couple. Now I think I actually have one that might have been Paw Paw's.
Oh, you've been around forever. A lot of people have. I think the Sod Buster is the one.
Yes.
But I like a locking blade knife. And I like just a single blade. Maybe the Sod Buster has the 3 blades, and I've never.
I like a single blade better.
Yeah, I've never had it. I want to be able to open up a box, or if I need to stab somebody, maybe I can.
Yeah, and it's fixed or it locks back.
Lance an abscess on a calf.
If you stab a guy real hard, you're not going to hit bone and fold the knife in on your hand.
Yeah. Cut open I cooked some sirloins tonight. I pulled a vacuum pack out of the freezer and sliced her open. Pull the pocket knife out. So.
Yep. Yeah, and I like it. It's got USA stamped on it.
It wasn't a case, but I even got I had a 2-day vacation from school in high school, courtesy of.
I remember that.
Yeah. So
was that Miss K?
That was her.
Yeah,
she was the one that got me.
That just trips me out. In the South,
I was a threat, and again, this would have been my junior year of high school. It was like year 2000. Yeah, a pocket knife, a folding pocket knife. I was a threat and a menace to society.
That just trips me out. Back then, I used to go to school with my deer rifle in the truck.
I remember numerous times when and like carrying a rifle like in a case across the parking lot to get in another buddy's truck because we were going to go hunting after school. And like nobody thought a thing about it. Now, again, I realized like today, I probably wouldn't recommend anybody doing that. But
I'll tell you what I wouldn't recommend that I did. We had a buddy that his dad worked for the FBI, and he had 2 Uzis. And he was like, "You want to shoot Uzis one day after school?" And we were all like, "Hell yeah." So he brought 2 Uzis to school, and we went and shot them after. And I think
left them in the car.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it would have been icing on the cake for me to tell the story now if he had had them in his backpack and been like, "Hey man, check it out." And like opened his backpack up and pulled them out. But he had 2 Uzis, and we went and shot them. And the dude's house that we went to lived like 2 houses down from the school. Like we went and we were just shooting the Uzis.
Fully automatic.
No, they weren't fully automatic. Okay, it wasn't that cool. They were semi-automatic. One was a 9, one was a 45. I was hoping they were full auto, but they were not.
Okay.
They were extremely inaccurate, even as semi-automatic. But I think about it all the time because Dude, there was never an ill thought in our head, though. Like, we had these guns, and we were like, yeah, let's go shoot them. And we were shooting in, like, boxes. Like, we never once were like, let's go shoot some people. You know, like, just different times, man. Different times. So, and, yeah, if you carry a knife like that, it'll be down in your pocket. I do think I have gone in places before, and it'll have, like, no weapons, and I'll always have to unclip my knife and just poke it down in my pocket.
Yeah.
Which that was one of the Robert De Niro memes that I do enjoy. It shows him from Heat, and it's like when he's walking into the bank to rob the bank, and he's got like this menacing look on his face. He's got on sunglasses. The meme says, when I conceal carry into a building that says no firearms allowed.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, yeah, man, I appreciate that. That's awesome. And y'all check out Case Knives. Leave us a rating and a review if you listen. And if you're watching on YouTube, please hit that like button, hit subscribe, comment below. And as always, go to talkdirtpodcast.com. Go to the contact page, submit your questions on there, and we will definitely get them answered. I've still actually got 2 that I need to get to, but I'm going to be honest, one of them is going to take a little bit more digging on my part, so I have not gotten to it yet, but we will get to them.
Yeah. So happy birthday.
Appreciate it.
And we'll talk to y'all next week.
Catch you next week.